Yo, what is up? I am Carlos Harris and welcome to my podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of a 9-to-5 and the pros and cons of entrepreneurship. I think this is a really good conversation to start the podcast off with because the times that we're living in, people are leaning towards leaving the 9-to-5 and taking the entrepreneurship route. So I kind of want to weigh in why people would want to leave and why people might want to stay and just get people's feedback on which one they're leaning towards and not be biased in the conversation. So I'm definitely going to bring up some pros of why people like 9-to-5s and why they stay there, and some cons of why they leave, and the same thing in entrepreneurship of why people don't take that route and why they do. So just bear with me. This is my first time on the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy the energy and the just topics and stuff that I bring up. And let's just jump right into it. The pros of a 9-to-5. And this is a general opinion, and this is some of my feedback that I would think of why I would stay at a 9-to-5 if I still worked one. One being the 401k. A 401k is a money set aside for you to retire later in life. And a lot of people really depend on that when they get later into the years of their life, or their 40s, 50s, and then 60s, around the typical time where someone wants to retire. That 401k kind of kicks in and you've got some money for yourself. So it's totally understandable why people would say that that's a pro of having a 9-to-5. And then you're jumping into security. A lot of people think that they're secure at a 9-to-5, but I do want to bring up this part of it. In 2007, 2008, the market crashes, there's huge layoffs. So if a company has to meet a bottom line, typically the employees have to go. So I don't think the security is actually there for like a long term. And a pandemic just happened in 2020, unemployment rate skyrocketed. So security is kind of back and forth on a pro, because I don't really think that it can stick. If a company has to meet bottom line, you have to go, as you've seen just over the course of time. Structure is one thing that a 9-to-5 provides a person on a daily basis. They get up, they have a routine, they have their off days, and they're able to structure their life around that. So structure is needed within one's life to make sure that you're on a consistent path. So I think a 9-to-5 definitely has structure, and that would be something that someone wants in their life versus waking up and not knowing what to do. Another thing would be insurance. Everybody needs insurance, health insurance, dental insurance, and you can have that for your kids as well. So if anything pops up that needs to be taken care of, your insurance is going to go ahead and cover that. And most 9-to-5s have that insurance implemented in to where you're paying it every single time out of your check. So you're covered and you're good to go. And jumping into some of the cons, some people might not agree with this, but this is how I feel about it. And it's kind of a general opinion as well. It becomes repetitive. Every day at a 9-to-5, someone has to wake up and it's the same old song. You have times where you have group conversations with your friends and they're talking about, well, I don't feel like going to work today. And this is a conversation that happens at least once a year within a friend group, where someone's talking about a job that they just completely dislike. And just jumping into another one, growth. Growth restrictions within a company is a very prominent thing, because I don't think at any point working for a company, 9 times out of 10, you will never be the CEO of that company, or even the vice president, because you want to know what? Jim or Bob that owns that company is going to take care of his people. And if you're not one of his people, you're not going to be put in that high ranking position to make that money. So I think growth isn't something that a 9-to-5 really allows you. It does to an extent. You can move up the corporate ladder, but again, we want to see millions. Everyone's going to make $1 million. There's a difference between seeing $1 million and there's a difference between making $1 million. We're all going to make $1 million in our lifetime if we work 40 years. Seeing $1 million means I see it in my account. So the growth is a little bit stagnant in a 9-to-5. And I feel like that's a con that comes with it, is you're just not able to grow the way that you want to. And that leads me into another thing. It's like salary cap. You can only really make so much working 40 hours a week. If you have a salary, maybe you'll get up to the $250,000 mark, but still, people who have more ambitions and just a different insight on life want to see more than that, because you got taxes and stuff that are taken out. You might have responsibilities as far as kids and a family, whatever it is. So a salary cap is definitely something that just kind of hinders a 9-to-5, in my opinion. People can contest that and say, well, I make enough money for myself. Some people have bigger aspirations, like myself. I want to see $1 million. Some people want to just make $1 million. And then jumping into the freedom aspect of a 9-to-5, you have to put in 2 weeks and tell your boss, hey, I want to go out here to LA. And you got to tell them 2 weeks in advance. So you really don't have the freedoms to move around the way that you would typically want to, just in case something pops up. A friend's got a last minute wedding that you need to go to. Typically you can't get off because your responsibility is showing up to that job every single day and putting in that hours for that company. So I think that that's a con, that you don't get the freedoms that you would typically have outside of a 9-to-5. So 9-to-5s kind of hinder what you can and can't do. Say that your friends want to go out on a Wednesday or Thursday and you got work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Boom, you can't go out. So to honestly say that you're free at a 9-to-5, I don't really think so, because you're obligated to be there 40 hours a week unless you work remotely, which there are remote jobs, so I can't be too biased. Some people can't work from just Wi-Fi, but people are having to go into the office. Your traditional companies are having people come in, and that's just a normal thing that happens. And a percentage of people, to go back to talking about that conversation that happens at least once a year, 85% of people say that they dislike their job. 85%. That's the majority of people. And that might be just the people in their 20s and 30s. I know people in their 60s that hate their career. I don't think that that's life. You're not supposed to hate your career or hate your job. You're supposed to wake up and do something that you love and something that you're passionate about. So I feel like that's a con, is that you don't have those freedoms, and it just really drains you to get up and go somewhere every single day and sing the same old song just to get a paycheck. I don't think that's life. And just to jump into entrepreneurship and keep it rolling, the pros of entrepreneurship, I'm just going to jump back into it. Freedom. The freedom of entrepreneurship. If I want to pop up and I want to go to LA tomorrow, I can pop up and go to LA tomorrow. And most entrepreneurs can do that unless they have prior obligations like meetings or something like that. But with that comes control. You can move those meetings around and you can adjust things to make sure it fits your schedule. So that freedom is something that entrepreneurship allows you to do, is allows you to flourish and go actually live life. And there's no limitations on the money that you can make. There's no cap to it. No pun intended, but there's no cap. So you can go out and make $10,000 in a month, $20,000 in a month, 30, 40, all the way up to $100,000 in a month. Versus a 9-to-5, you have a salary cap. Doesn't matter if you're putting in super overtime, you're only going to be allowed so much overtime, and the time and effort that's put into that, I don't think it really equates to what can be achieved. So I would say controlling your own destiny, making sure that you're able to make the money that you want to make. Entrepreneurship definitely allows that. And like I said, controlling your destiny. Everything's in your hands. At the end of the day, you can only blame yourself if you're not successful. You can't blame anyone else. You can't blame Jim over here because he didn't complete the team project. It's all on you. You're the boss. You make the rules. You make the schedules. You make the money. So at the end of the day, it's totally 100% up to you. And that brings me into ownership. Entrepreneurship allows for ownership. A 9-to-5, you will never own that company. 100% ownership when you have a company for yourself is priceless. It's priceless because you're able to grow that company to heights that you can never imagine. There's so much freedom. There's so much room to grow. There's just so much like passion and stuff that can go into your projects, and the time and energy because you're doing something that you love. I mean, it's priceless. And then just to get into some of the cons of entrepreneurship. Mental health and depression is something that is very high in the entrepreneurship field, for the simple fact that there's a lot that weighs on entrepreneurs. Being able to take care of payroll, you're responsible for employees, you're responsible for brick and mortar bills, whatever it is. There's tons of pressures that come with that, and along with your personal issues that you have going on in life or whatever it is that stack on top of that as well. So there's a lot of pressures that come with that, and there's loneliness. That term lonely at the top, that is a totally relatable thing when it comes to entrepreneurship. Yeah, you might not be at the top, but it takes a isolation period in entrepreneurship. Just from experience, me learning that, where you have to focus on just you and getting yourself to a place to where you can succeed and take care of others. So that isolation period really challenges your mental state and can bring you to a state of depression, because as entrepreneurs, we really, really are hard on ourselves at being perfect and making sure everything is running smoothly and holding ourselves accountable in areas to where we typically wouldn't hold ourselves accountable in a 9 to 5 because it's not our company. You care a lot more, you do a lot more, and you just want to do the best that you possibly can when you're in 100% ownership of a company. And being responsible, like I said, for others, their livelihood. You don't want to go into a situation to where you can't make payroll. That is a very, very stressful thing. You will work hours that are way beyond the 40 hours that a typical person works at a 9 to 5. You're going to be putting in 100+ hours every single week, if not more. And people talk about the 10,000 hours that you have to put in for yourself. That is a thing, 100% a thing. And that stuff can weigh on you physically and mentally. Those are some of the cons of entrepreneurship, and understanding that it is a true mental battle to make sure that you're okay as a person, make sure that your family's okay, and making sure other people are okay. There might be great things that make you smile, but at the end of the day, there's always those dark moments that a lot of people don't talk about because social media makes it this just, bright thing where entrepreneurship is this such great thing. It is in a sense, but it also comes at a price that you have to pay to get there. And unfortunately, some people can't take that and they can't be entrepreneurs and they settle for a 9 to 5, which again, there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. It's just not for everyone. Just like entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. You have to be mentally tough to get to that point. And overall, there's ups and downs. You may feel comfortable in a 9 to 5 and just want to be there just because that's what you want in life. Some people have greater aspirations, and like I said, there's a difference between living and existing. Some people go through life just existing. Living is going out and doing something that you're passionate about. And my message is to everyone that has a talent outside of a 9 to 5 where you can potentially get paid for it, why not try it? Why not try it? If you try and you fail, get back up again and try again. Continuously press forward to something that you want in life, because you never want to settle for something just to get a paycheck. That is not living at all. So I am totally open to hearing why people would want to stay at a 9 to 5, why they would choose entrepreneurship. I'm not biased when it comes to that. I just have my passion for my field of work. I feel like a lot of people will get offended when you say certain things about a 9 to 5, and you got a lot more people speaking out about it nowadays just because of social media. And social media allows us to have careers. It's allowed me to have a career and build other businesses. And I feel like a lot of people are talented. They just sleep on themselves and they don't take the steps to actually get there. And they have side hustles. People have side hustles outside of a 9 to 5 and call themselves entrepreneurs. I don't think that you're an entrepreneur yet until you fully dive into something. And that's another topic that I want to talk about, is entrepreneur versus an entrepreneur. But just to kind of wrap things up, not to keep you guys here too long, I would really, really love to hear you guys' opinion on the pros and cons of a 9 to 5 and the pros and cons of entrepreneurship and which one you would choose. So until next time, this is the first podcast. I hope this was really, really good conversation, a good topic. Share this with your friends. Share this with your loved ones. Write down your pros and cons of a 9 to 5. Shoot me a DM. My Instagram is Carlos D. Harris Jr. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.